Joining me now is someone who knows a lot about hurricanes and dealing with their devastation, particularly the aftermath. It's former FEMA administrator under President Obama and also Florida's former, essentially, emergency preparation head under Jeb Bush. It's Craig Fugate. Mr. Fugate, it's good to see you. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Let's talk about the Bahamas here. The Bahamas, yes, it's its own country. But I got to assume the resources they need, they don't necessarily have at least the amount of resources they may need to help in this. What kind of effort will the United States end up making in the Bahamas when all is said and done?
Well, our principal agency is going to be the Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance through USAID. They're already on the ground working. So I won't be surprised at any elements like the search and rescue capabilities, Coast Guard, and additional assets there. But you also got to remember the Royal Navy, the British government maintains a ship in the Caribbean just for this purpose. So this will be an international response. We're close. We should be able to do quite a bit. As you saw what President Obama did in Haiti after that earthquake and tsunami, we can lend considerable assistance if it's required.
You're just seeing these pictures. What do you see in these pictures? Obviously, the devastation. Is it even more devastating than you expected, or sadly what you expected?
Sadly, what I expected. When you have those kind of winds, they're tornadic. So imagine a tornado sitting over you for basically a day. Very few structures are going to come through undamaged, and that's going to compound. Right now, search and rescue, but housing and the lack of it and what it's going to take to bring it back is going to be really the challenge, I think, on both of these big islands.
I want to talk about the larger picture here of these storms. We put up a New York Times graphic from earlier today, and it was just sort of tracking the number of Category 4 and 5 hurricanes that we've seen. And over the 20 years, we've seen more of them. It's one of those things, frankly, Craig, when I heard the president say he'd never seen a Category 5, I think I was going, wait a minute. We've actually had quite a few Category 5s in this century, and it was actually something you didn't see as much in the previous century. Is there any other explanation other than the water's getting warmer?
Yeah, this is the challenge. Each individual storm is a weather event, but the trend of the increasing frequency, rapid intensification, systems slowing down and stalling out, and extreme high rainfall events, those are the trends, and that's some of what the climate assessment has been telling us could happen. And I very much think we're past the point of talking about we can stop climate change. Right. Hopefully we can make it less worse. We're in a period of how do we adapt. Imagine the impacts we saw in the Bahamas over South Florida, your hometown.
Craig, we already saw this in Mexico Beach. I'm sorry. I mean, I look at these pictures. Yeah. Mexico Beach is not ever going to be the same.
But again, that was a smaller storm. Mm-hmm. It is, look at, we haven't had, I think that's been the problem is people don't get around this because very few people know about Mexico Beach today and that they haven't even recovered. But that kind of devastation, particularly in these high population areas, how would we as a nation be able to recover from something like a Miami, a Tampa, another Katrina, New Orleans?
Well, Craig, let me ask you this, because the fear I had as of Friday morning, when you saw at the time, there was this assumption that this thing was going to stall out over Central Florida for about a day, that forecast. And I was sitting there thinking, Central Florida has not dealt with water like that, certainly in the modern era, that I could think of. What kind of devastation would Central Florida have received if it had gotten water? I mean, I just don't think the state of Florida understands water events the way other states do, to be honest.
No, if you dump 2 to 3 feet of water over Orlando, like we saw got dumped over Houston, think about the Kissimmee Lake chains going south to St. Johns River North and everything in between, and how that would disrupt both the road systems, but causing escalating flooding, not only where it fell, but where it's going to. Wow. So this would, the thing about Florida is you just can't dump that much water in one part of the state unless you're right on the coast and not affect a lot of the state.
So what does mitigation look like in the state of Florida?
Well, we're going to have to really think about where and how we're building. Obviously, the building codes have shown that where we do have strong building codes, we do see improvements. But I don't think we're ready for the rainfall. I don't think we're ready for the heavy raining events. And this is something, we created the water management districts after the great hurricanes in the 20s and 30s. But with today's population and how many roads we paved over, and the fact we're seeing more rain than we've ever seen before, I think this is the challenge. As much as people focus on the wind, I think it is the water and the associated impacts and damages, as well as loss of life, that we really don't have a handle on.
I mean, it's fair to say I don't want to say we've cracked the code on protecting buildings from wind, but we're pretty darn good at sort of wind resistance at this point. It's fair to say that it's the water that we just haven't even contemplated.
Yeah, I mean, everything from building up on the coast right next to the water lines to interior where we built in areas that they may not be in the FEMA 100-year flood zone for flood insurance, but they're flood prone. And when you dump this much rain, you remember what it was like down in Miami just from tropical storms back in the 1999 and 2000.
I know.
And we were only talking 18 inches of rain in those events.
Well, look, and you and I have talked about this before. South Beach has never had a hurricane. It has never had a hurricane the way it looks today. We don't know how Miami Beach is going to hold up. Anyway, Craig Fugate, you got any more to add there?
Yeah, I'll just say, building for our past events isn't working. We got to build for the future. And that's a hard thing for local and state officials to face. But we're seeing it happen at that level. We really need the federal government to get on board and understand that just building it back the way it was, only dealing with the past weather events, is not making us resilient for climate change.
And it's wasting taxpayer money. If you care about that, you could actually use that as well. Anyway, Craig Fugate, as always, sir, thanks for your expertise and sharing it with our viewers. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.